For this tutorial, we will create a project using PyCharm in a Windows environment. Then we will push it to a repository on GitHub, and we will monitor that while we're still in the Windows environment on a virtual machine that is hosting this Windows, and this virtual machine is hosted within a Mac machine where we will be running its own PyCharm and try to retrieve at the end of the lesson or the tutorial the actual file that we've created in the Windows environment. So let's go ahead and create a new project, and let's call this one my test proj 03. And what we will do is create a Python file within that project with some print statements. So let's go ahead and generate the project first. Now remember from our previous video, I am already pointing at my GitHub account. So we've already configured this PyCharm IDE to recognize the link to my own account. Okay? All right, fantastic. So we're ready to create a new Python file. So let me right mouse click here, and new Python file. And let's call it my test 03. And I'm hitting enter. At the tab here, it shows that it's a .py file. And let's go ahead and print. This would be project test 03. Just to identify what it is, and let's go ahead and do another print statement. Print test 0. This will be for the first version. So we're going to be doing some versioning as well. And we're going to be changing that line as if we're remote programmers working on the same project. Okay? All right, fantastic. So we've got this file here. We can run it to see how it behaves. So I can right mouse click here, run it. And as you can see, I get 2 lines printed out to the console. Very nice. So now what I'd like to do is make this a local Git repository before we get started. Okay? So to do this, you go to where it says VCS, and you will create a Git repository. Now before I do that, I need you to pay attention to the buttons where my mouse is now, hovering. This area will change, and you will get some check marks in there, and I will go through them as soon as I unleash this feature here. So I'm going to go ahead and say create Git repository, and it will ask me, do you want to do this for my test proj 03? I'm going to say okay. Okay, fantastic. So now watch what had happened here. I've got the keyword git here, and I've got a blue line pointing down, I've got a check mark for commit, and I've got a green line pointing out. So this is pushing out to the repository, this is pulling back from the repository. This here is to make sure before you push, you make sure that you commit your changes. Okay? Very nice. So notice that my test 03 is in red because it is not yet part of the files that can be committed at this point to be sent out to the repository. So what can we do? Well, you can actually try to send it, but before you do that, go to Git right here and make sure that you are connecting to your share project on GitHub, that you are connected to your account. and I'm going to say share. Okay? And what do you want to share? I want to share, and notice here it's already asking me if I want to commit this initial file here. Yeah, absolutely, I would like to do that. So you could do it this way. Let's go ahead and do it that way. And I'm going to say add. So now it's committed. Notice the file color has changed now. And I should have my test proj 03 now on GitHub. So the way to do it is you're going to have to refresh GitHub. And sure enough, my test proj 03 is right here. So if I click on it, it's going to take some time here. We should have access to the file that we just committed. And sure enough, here he is, my test03.py. If I click on the file, let's see if it's the same content. And sure enough, it's the same content. Okay, so what if we wanted to change this content right now while I'm here? And let's say I want to put 0, 1 instead of 0. Okay, well, then I have to commit and push. All right, so let's go ahead and hit commit. And notice here, the file that is highlighted for committing is this one. And we can write here a comment that says, which commit point is this? So I can write this as commit 1 or 01 if you want, and then hit commit. Okay. Now, let's see if changes had happened here. Now, we haven't pushed it. So, for giggles, we're going to go ahead and update or refresh what we have. As you can see, nothing happens because that is incomplete. So we need to do one extra step by pushing. Okay? And by pushing now, notice what it's asking. You need to select which commit point do you want to send out. I want to send commit 01, and I'm going to push it. Okay? Now let's go back and refresh this page here. And 01 surely is here. Fantastic. So we've done the work on this end. Let's go ahead and see if we can actually, let's see if we can go to PyCharm here and retrieve. So remember, this PyCharm here is on my Mac, and I don't have a repository or local repository for that file that I created in Windows. And we're going to go to get from VCS. Okay. And I'm going to go to my account, which is on GitHub. And notice I have my test proj 03. And I'm going to hit clone. Okay. So as you can see now, I was able to retrieve it from a remote. So I have a project and I have a file. So let me see if I can get the file here. Here he is, right here. And I can run it locally on my Mac now. So I can go ahead and run this. There you have it. Now let's suppose I make a change. So now I'm on my Mac and I want to do the same thing. And I'm another programmer and I say, really, we need version number 2. Well, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to commit here. And we're going to call this one commit 02. And I'm going to hit commit. Okay, so I've committed it. Now I need to push it. So I'm going to hit push. Notice commit 02. So I'm going to highlight it and push it. Okay, so I'm the remote worker here. Now let's go back to Windows. And on Windows, I have access to my GitHub account. Let me refresh it and see if I do see a change. And sure enough, 02 is right there. Now I would like to update any changes from here. Now I'm in Windows. The other programmer on their Mac changed it to 02. So one way to do this is you can go ahead and say update project. And I'm going to say merge incoming changes to the current branch. I'm going to say OK. And let's see what happens. Okay. And it's extracting, and voila, we are at test 02. So there you have it. That's how you're going to use GitHub with Git to utilize a remote repository.